Well, hello and welcome to Norvise Ragworm. Well, I'm a proud Norvise owner, and today I'm gonna make a ragworm on my Norvise and use the abilities Norvise have with the dubbing brush table to make this ragworm. You can see it up here, and it's a little bit time consuming to tie it, but wow, it's fun, and it really looks nice. And the best of all, with this method you can vary whatever color you might want and put in flash and rubber legs or whatever. Well, just follow on and see how I tie it, and there will always be a description of the materials I've been using in this fly. Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you a little about the materials I've been using in this fly. I use some off-brand hook in preferred size. I use a smaller back hook with a large hook gap. And I have this front hook, a bit larger, but also a large hook gap on that. I have prepared this, and you can see there is a cone head in front there, and to support the cone head to stand right on the hook, I've used some lead wire. Where did I put it? I put some rest of this on my table. It's nice. I think it's you can use the lead wire you want, of course. I'm not quite sure what the diameter on this is. I'm not quite sure. Okay. I also use materials in the main fly is here sunker strips. I just cut cut off the hair and put it in a paper clip, and on the back on this on the fly I've used some back in the front. I used a dubbing brush. It's not quite the same, but it's like this. This is a darker one. I used that on the front hook and on the back hook. And to make the total body, I've been using this kind of thread. That's the one I use. A super braid. I call it Kevlar, but that's not quite correct. But it's very, very strong. You cannot break this. And support all this wrapping, I used super glue, a thin super glue, and I also used some white thread, ordinary 8/0 thread. You don't want. You don't have to use very strong thread for this fly. And I have to say, have I forgot anything? I don't think so. I used, of course, a little clip to support the thread, and also I have a twist. I used. I have to pick it up from my garbage fell in. I use some large, just to keep attention on the thread, as well as that. And I place all this Kevlar thread, strong thread, on the spool, just to make it easy. Okay. And to make the thread sticky, I use some Swix ski wax. That's all the materials I've been using in this fly. So, well, why don't you just see how I tie it? Okay. Okay, here we go again. The first part of the ragworm is the back hook. I'm gonna start making the back hook by placing the thread on my hook. And I take my pre-made dubbing brush. That's made of the same materials as the one I'm gonna make of the ragworm. So I start off with cutting off the excess wire and attaching this on the back side of the hook as long as I can go without getting into the hook band. Winding the hook forwards, the thread forwards, and start winding this dubbing brush in loose spirals to the front, to the hook eye. Try to get this so close to the hook eye as I can, like that. See, now it's a bit full, but you can pick out the materials you don't want. Use the inner part of the scissor when you're cutting the wire, so we don't dull your nice fine point scissor. But that's an old scissor, so it's not so very difficult. Not so that's okay. Well, make a little whip finish now. I use white thread for this. Why I use white thread is the one I have on my spool. You can color the white thread in any color you want, but if you want to make a solid fly, you can take some lacquer onto this thread wrappings. I'm gonna do that at once. And just some very nice drops of lacquer, and I put that aside for now, because now the fun part is going to appear. Well, I'm gonna show you how I make the front hook with this. I have cheated a little, so I already made it, but I'm gonna show you how to do this. You put the hook in your hand and you take a cone head and place the cone head with the smallest part like this. You see? The smallest part, so the opening goes back on the hook. You see what I mean? You see this? Okay. And what I do next, I take a lead wire and take about 5 or 6 wrappings around the hook like that. Use your thumb there to cut it, and now you can slide this into the cone head. And if it makes some too short lead wrappings, you don't have so much control on the cone head, then you take some super glue and just on that and let it stay and dry, and it all goes hard, and you can use it afterwards. I put that aside and I take out the finished one I made some minutes ago. This is completely okay now, like that. I place it in a hook. Now the magic happens. Okay, well, first of all, I take out my dubbing brush table from Norvise. Where did I put it? Okay, I put it there. This is, I have adjusted this so it stays the same height as I want. I have to clean up my little desk. It looks like a mess. Okay, you know I have that. But before I use it, I put that a little aside for now, and I take this. I have this. This is a kind of Kevlar thread, very strong, thin. You can do whatever strong whatever thread you want, but it has to be very strong. It has to hold the fish. Okay, I put that on a spool just for the ease of it. Okay, and the first thing I do, I take the back hook and take it and put it onto this line like this. Let it just hang there, and now I put it into the eye of the hook. Just make some adjust the length you want on this dubbing brush. It's gonna be a dubbing brush, and for this I just want to make a knot or two onto the hook eye. It's all about a little fiddling. It's more fiddly when you make a video, that's for sure. Okay, I just make a knot there just to avoid this thread is getting out. Before, if you make a dubbing brush on the Norvise, you can use stainless steel wire, and then you just wind it so it stays there. You cannot do that with ordinary thread. Okay, now I take out my dubbing board again, and I place this onto the dubbing board and adjust the length of the thread so the bobbin hangs freely. Okay, and you see these loose ends here. I want to assure me that the materials is going to stay into the loop, so I just wax it, and I use some ski wax for this, like that. I have to adjust the length of this video, not the length, but the view. So I take and do that now. Okay, now hopefully you see what I'm doing right now. Okay, well, I've done some preparing, but this is the material I've been using. This is here, cut in strips. Here, pelt. Here's another one, big fluffy stuff. Okay, I put it in the paper clip like this, and to adjust the length of the hair, I can use 2 paper clips and just transfer it from one to another. You see, this is the length. I don't want it to be so long, so I just adjust it, and I take my scissor and cut it. I'm not going to cut it in the video, but on the camera, because it's a big mess. I just take it on my wax pin and cut it like that. You see now it's much shorter, and I just use the paper clip to put it on top of my thread like that. And I have another one prepared, and I do the same. I eyeball it. You see, it's far too long, and I transfer it to paper clip and cut it to the length I want. Well, that will be okay, I think. Just don't sneeze with this. Well, now, well, I just saw that this is gonna be all too much So I just take out some part and well, maybe I should see that the part in front is gonna be a little thin, so I just want to thicken it. You can do that in advance. Now I'm gonna spin this by putting the thread I have hanging here over the other. But before that, I take the back hook. Now there is some very tricky part. You have to be aware that this thread is very, it has a little memory. The thread I'm using has some little memory, and you want this to be on the back side. This is gonna be in the end hook. What I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take another part of pelt on the back side here. I have to adjust it a little more, and I'm gonna use a little nipper just to place some thread. Use nipper, place it, because I have not prepared properly yet. But you see now the ragworm is gonna be just as long as that with the hook. You see, I just breathed a little bit, and all things fell apart almost. Well, it's really getting there. I have another one prepared. I'm gonna do the same, measure out how long I want it. You can see it's far too long. I prepare it just a little bit. Well, some hair fell off, but it's gonna be okay. Like that. And I'm gonna use my nipper just to adjust this a little bit, because I wanted to get as close as I can to the back hook, so it's a part of this. It takes some trial and error for this, but it's gonna be approximately in the middle. You can take out some fibers to measure out just right. Well, now it's about in the middle, and I want some flash in this, and I'll take some flash. This is some flashy dubbing I have. Place it on top like that. Don't bother if this a bit too long. You're gonna brush it out afterwards, like that. Not too much. Well, now you take this thread I'm hanging here and put it on top. Put it on top like that, and hold both threads in your hand and start spinning this. Lift it up carefully, put the table aside, and spin more. You see now? You can take your, it's already starting to now look very nice. When you spin a little, you take your Velcro brush that I have in my mess, like this. I use Velcro brush because I think that's the material, the tools that is both best suited for this kind of job. And you can see, you can pick out if there's too thick in parts, you can pick it out. You can do that with the back hook as well. See now the hook is just like that. Okay, a little more and a little more brushing. And now you have to lock your Norvise, and you take your back hook and hold it and just release it. You see, it spins and make a nice cord. And now there is a little tricky part. I take my excess wire, excess thread, and I have this little clip just to collect these two pieces, and now I just cut it like that and get this out of the way. It just fell to the floor, but that's okay. And I hold it in my hand, attach it, the thread, to the hook, and snip off. Keep hold of this and attach it so it don't unwind. I managed to salvage it. And some super glue onto this, and there you have it, this excess thread. You can now take a little razor blade. Where did I put it? I could put it that, and just be sure not to cut your fingers or anything. It's a little short piece. There you have it, it's gone away. Now you have the rest of this metal dubbing brush I made. You can place it. You see, it's not the nicest end. Well, I take my scissor and just snip off some excess wire here. I don't want all this, and go back as far as I can and attach it like that. Go forwards again, stop a little bit from the part where the cone head is, go over, around and around and around. See, you have a very nice looking fly in front of you now. If you have done this right, it's a bit time consuming, it's fun, very fun. Now you take your whip finisher or whip finish by hand, that's free of choice. Like that. Now you can see it's really getting there, but to make you see a little better, I'm gonna change the view again. Well, as you see now, I finished the fly, and you can see the back hook is here, and all this nice hair's pelt here here is incorporated in this fly, and you can pick out some fibers if you don't want it, all the guard hairs. But here you have it, the finished ragworm tied on a Norvise, and it's very nice, very strong, very solid fly. Contains of 2 hooks with a strong cord of Kevlar thread in the middle. So that's all I had, and I advise you to subscribe to my channel and watch the videos I put on, and hit the notification bell. You will always get the latest videos from me. So thank you all, and bye bye, and tight lines.